I will now talk about providing flexible models of skilled performance. As our reading shared with us in Chapter 6, teachers can present models of processes in a variety of contexts using a variety of media. To me, this just speaks to differentiation at its core. We want to make sure that we provide students opportunities to participate in whole class learning, small group learning, and then meeting together in a one-on-one environment. Schools currently are very comfortable with using these strategies at school buildings so that everything takes place in person. One area that schools can branch out more is letting students do more work online. Whether that takes place at home, in preparation for the next day's lesson, or providing students the opportunity to learn from another person in a different town, state, or country. As a technology integration specialist, I am working with teachers to show them the different possibilities where they can use different mediums to teach. We are currently experimenting with Text Help as a program that offers support for students as they interact with text. Teachers can also use Google Drive to create different organizers, diagrams, and animations. As teachers, we want to offer students as many choices as possible for ways to show their learning. A great way to show the students what we expect of them is to explicitly instruct them in the steps that we would like them to complete in the process, show them complete work samples, and connect them to experts in what students are studying. Our classmate Kay shared that she utilizes YouTube videos, educational interactive websites, audio recordings, CDs, DVDs, computer lessons, and many more. We also want to provide opportunities to practice with supports. Teachers want students to become experts and automatic in the skills that we would like them to learn. The only way that this is attainable is to have students practice with appropriate supports. As teachers think about what we want students to accomplish and how they learn best, they should take into account the goal they want to accomplish and what student supports might be needed in order to accomplish this goal. Teachers also need to make certain that in our teaching, we are practicing the skills in context rather than in isolation. Our classmate Stephanie spoke to this by stating, "Cueing and prompting are scaffolding techniques that I routinely use to pull students along into the steps of learning the concept. I usually will model and give lots of examples, and then have students replicate what I've just done. They can do it if I have kept them engaged, not always an easy task." Next, I will talk about providing ongoing, relevant feedback. Feedback is a way for everyone to improve. It is often in our mistakes that we find deeper learning. Without teacher feedback, students will not know what they are doing incorrectly or need to work on further. Frequent check-ins with students are important to not only develop relationships, but to also make certain that students are on the right track. As we move through the learning process, teachers need to help students become more autonomous. Students are not always going to have a teacher around and need to know how to self-monitor and provide themselves with feedback. Finally, I will address offering flexible opportunities for demonstrating skills. Students need to show what they know in their own special way. Because each student comes to school with different amounts of background knowledge and different strengths and weaknesses, we cannot expect a cookie-cutter approach to work when they are demonstrating their skills. Technology has truly opened so many doors for students to share what they have been learning. They can use their visual skills to draw, use posters, but then they can also use presentation tools like Prezi, Google Presentations, Keynote, and PowerPoint. Students can create websites or online posters. They can also use blogs and podcasts. Choices oftentimes give students intrinsic motivation and dive deeper into their learning. This is the reason why people learn, because they are curious. Chris stated, "Over the whole year, I give kids different options for showing their learning, but I'd like to give them more options for each project."
I decided to spend my portion of this podcast covering 4 UDL strategies through the words of my classmates. One of the best parts about taking this online course, which has been my first, is that I've learned so much from reading what my fellow teachers do on a day-to-day basis. So the first one is provide multiple examples. Alyssa said that she needs to provide multiple examples in economics classes especially. Concepts like supply and demand, scarcity, costs, and benefits are best understood through describing many different examples. Shaun wrote that when he is in his classroom, he tries to connect to science topics and relate many aspects of algebra to sports because a number of athletes are in his class. Chelsea says that within a content area, she tries to give lots of examples about specific concepts and has students come up with their own examples as well. In my physical education classroom, I try to provide as many different examples of a specific skill as possible in as many different ways to hopefully reach each student the best way that fits them. The next one would be the strategy provide multiple media formats. Stephanie stated that she tries to use images that she gets from the web or images she takes with her phone from walks with her dog. Then she integrates them into the mini lessons for metaphor, simile, cause and effect, and fact and opinion. The images help to connect and engage students in the mini lesson and give them another channel from which to learn. Chris likes his students to be able to use all kinds of resources from print encyclopedias to online databases. Tori uses different digital tools such as Haiku, Prezi, videos, and digital lectures for flipped classrooms, but would like to implement more. Justin provides multiple media formats to his students and believes that it is connected to differentiated instruction by process and multiple intelligences. Jennifer uses technology as a UDL strategy. Christopher D. said that two of the UDL strategies he most sees teachers using are providing multiple examples and providing multiple media formats. The third strategy would be supporting background content. Shaun has become more aware of supporting background content, writing that it is pretty important for all instruction, particularly important in science. Kelly says that within her teaching, supporting background content usually happens first in the introduction to the lesson, which can be supported with a KWL chart. Maura always uses a formative assessment before any unit to gauge where her students are so that she can scaffold them from the background knowledge that they already have. And the fourth strategy is offer choice of reward. Eric said that he might give a trivia quiz to reinforce content, and the winning students can pick rewards like adding points to tests, quizzes, essays, projects, or even homework passes. He thinks that these rewards resonate with the kids because they become acutely aware of where and when to apply them. Kay wrote that she utilizes various reinforcers. Sometimes she utilizes centers for positive reinforcement, and other times it's stickers or the treasure chest. I hope you have enjoyed this part of the podcast. Thank you very much.
One area of UDL that a lot of teachers utilize, probably without even knowing it, is highlighting critical features. You can see I'm at the cast.org website, and I'm on Teaching Every Student in the Digital Age. Highlighting critical features, the whole point, of course, is to direct students' attention to what is important and what it is that you are learning. Teachers have always used pitch, volume, pauses, intonation, pointing, gesturing, facial expressions, just like they say here, to add emphasis and highlight the critical features to make their point, what they're trying to say. In text, having italics, bold-faced font size, color highlighting, it's really all nothing new. What they add here is digital media tools, and what they talk about here are adding things like animation, color highlighting, graphic elements that add emphasis, just like I've done here using Digo. Using Digo, I can curate web pages for my students and highlight things that I think are important, and I can also add notes. These are sticky notes here. where I said this section was nothing new. Teachers have been doing this for a while. And then here, it's helpful to consider how digital media can be used to highlight critical features. Now, my goal in this video is not to give you a walkthrough of how to use Diigo or anything else that I talk about, but it's to show you some ways to highlight critical features, and if you're interested in any of them, hopefully you can go explore them. And I'll add that I'm using Screencast-O-Matic to make this video, and as you can see when I move the mouse around, it's just another way to highlight a critical feature because I can draw your attention to certain points that I want to talk about. Now, at the National Center on Universal Design for Learning, their section on highlighting critical features, they give some examples and resources. And one place that really caught my eye here was these interactives, and that's at the Annenberg Learner at learner.org. And these, they have lots of interactives, as you can see here, in lots of grade levels and a variety of subjects. What I really like about this is that this one tells you a story, and it goes through...
Long ago, in a faraway...
in a faraway land, it goes through the story, and then afterwards
One
you can
element
focus
common
in.
to every story is the setting. The setting is where and when the story takes place. Let's explore the set.
So, as you can see, it is taking one feature at a time. And so as a teacher, of course, you could do all of them, or you could focus on one, whatever it is that you wanted. I would really encourage you to check this webpage out and see if there's anything here that's useful to you. I was also, for UDL, I was drawn to ways to optimize the challenge and provide just the right level for each student. And when I was looking at those resources, I saw that they often also highlighted critical features. For example, CAST's UDL editions. These are several books on the subjects that you see here. And when you select a book to read about, it gives you choices for maximum support, moderate support, and minimal support. But no matter which you choose, we'll start reading. It also highlights critical features here. And this has also highlighting tools. It can read the text to you, and it can read portions of it to you. So that's a really nice way to support students and checking out critical features. There are stop and think sections here too, which will focus the student on predicting, summarizing, and other skills that you might think are important. Another site which offers optimized challenge but also highlights critical features is Windows to the Universe. This is another place that I would really recommend that you check out. As you can see, they have lots of different topics. It's not just the sciences either. It's got some language arts and social studies stuff as well. And this, as you can see up here, I'm on the Advanced tab. If you switch this, intermediate, beginner, of course we'll look at beginner, you can see the difference. Features, the critical features are still there, but as we move up, we can support our students at different levels. And clicking these will also bring us to information about what they are, of course. If we go back, one other way to make it easier for students to access information is a site called Readability. And Evernote has features like this too. But this is free, so is Evernote. But what I like about this is how if I go back to this web page, I have a Chrome add-on. You can see it right here, where it's an extension. And if I click readability, I see it's cut off a little bit, but this says read now. If I select that, then you can see I have the same information here, but it's just a little easier to access. And if I go back to the regular page, of course there's nothing to stop me from using Digo to highlight what it is that I want students to know. Okay, that's about all the time I have, but I really encourage you to go and look around at some of these areas. There's lots of different interactives here. And if you haven't already checked out Digo, I'd recommend doing that. You can set up a free account for teachers, and your students can use it too. And it just makes it easier to direct them to resources on the internet, and as you saw, highlighting important areas. Okay, thank you for listening.